Republican strategist, hated and feared by many people in the Democratic Party. And tell me, where do you think all this is going to go? What do you think the Tea Party is going to do next, and what do you think it should do next?
Well, this is the most encouraging thing I've seen from America. At the end of the 70s, when the best days when the kindness, there was a grassroots revolution to save this country. This is very encouraging to me because I see that same excitement and fervor, and getting got talked to a little bit. I think this is just going to grow and become a tidal wave by 2010.
We're going to see a lot of impact on the congressional races in 2010 for all this.
I think that there will be some substantial impact. I don't think that the full impact will be made until the next presidential. The reason I say that is because the economy has been bad under both Republicans and Democrats. And as a Republican, I hate to say we have our share of the blame, but spending by the Republican majority in Congress and President Bush, their spending record, while not as bad as what we have today, was nothing to be proud of. So I think the voters want to give this president some time, some reasonable time, to see if his prescription for America works. Now, there's no evidence that it's working, and I, just don't think that massive federal spending and debt will jumpstart the economy. So I think the Tea Party tidal wave will hit in the next presidential election.
That's really interesting. One thing I've seen is it seems to be a very local organization. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of national coordination, at least that I've observed. Do you think that's a bug or a feature?
No, I think that's a feature because these are not Republican-driven crowds or insurance company-driven crowds or HMO-driven crowds. This is not, as the liberal elites would tell us, astroturf. This was not manufactured. You've got thousands of people here in Quincy today, and it's a cross-section. There's independents, there's disgruntled Democrats, there's libertarians, there's conservatives, there's a broad cross-section of people who couldn't even pinpoint their party. They just know they're angry because what's happening in Washington is not helping America.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I know one thing that there have been some media accounts that sound kind of hopeful about it. It's possible that the Tea Party movement might explode into a third party kind of along the Ross Perot lines. Do you think that's likely? And if so, do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a real possibility. I mean, the Republican Party, and I speak as a Republican, has to show people something if they're going to exist as a party. It's not enough to just be against the current administration's policy. You can't hide in the hole. Tax reduction works, spending restraint works, free enterprise works. Don't walk away from capitalism. It hasn't really been tried to its full extent. Cap and trade will be a disaster for this country. Healthcare will bankrupt this country. They tell us it won't, but as a congressman said, they lie. The truth here is that the party has to put forward a leader. If it doesn't, you could have what happened at the end of the Whigs, where a new party emerges, subsumes the existing Republican Party, at least the voters of that party, and forges a new movement to elect someone else.
That's a real interesting possibility, and I see it as something that could definitely happen because the Republicans dropped the ball on a lot of things, and I'm not seeing them moving fast enough to pick it up. And there's a question of trust. I mean, they sort of have to come back and say, well, yeah, we didn't live up to our deals last time we were in power, but put us back in power, and we'll do better this time. And how do you win the voters over with that?
Well, part of the problem is parties are built around individuals. Bill Clinton changed his party by bringing it more to the center. Ronald Reagan changed his party by bringing it more to the right. Successful political parties are built around dominating figures, whether it's John Kennedy or Ronald Reagan. The party has to produce a leader. If it cannot, the leader may come from somewhere else. The leader could come from this movement. The leader could come from business. The leader, whoever that person is, could come from outside the normal political challenge. It could be a general, or a writer, or an author, or a doctor, or someone else who isn't part of the corrupted system in Washington or in a lot of those districts.
Don't get any law professors. That's my advice.
I agree with that.
One other thing that I wonder about, I've seen a lot of Tea Party people talking about running candidates for office, and do you think that's going to happen a lot in a lot of districts?
Well, just again, the Republican Party has to provide an alternative to Obama, or they will be subsumed or essentially overrun by this grassroots movement, which is not a partisan movement based on what I said today. Here's the good news. With this kind of turnout in Washington and here in Quincy, the idea that America was just going to shuffle off quietly with socialism like the countries in Europe did is false. That's not going to happen because this is the next wave of the fight for freedom. And it's very exciting.
Let me tighten you guys up a little bit. You've spread out on us. There you go. I'm sorry.
the next wave of the fight for freedom. Well, that sounds pretty impressive, and I'm really enjoying it all. And really enjoying the way technology is empowering. We're being covered by somebody else right here, so you know.
Well, I was when I put the notification of this up on StoneZone.com, which is my political one, the incoming people saying from Missouri, from Iowa, Kansas saying, I didn't know about this. I'm making the drive up there. I want to get an autograph. I want to
if you want the URL for that reference, here you go.
Whatever it may be. I haven't seen that kind of grassroots enthusiasm since Ronald Reagan ran for president, both 76 and then more manifesting.
I think that's really right. I mean, this is a case where people aren't being handed the ball by the powers that be. They're picking the ball up off the ground and running with it because the powers that be dropped the ball.
Well, no, the elites claim that this doesn't exist, that this is all manufactured, that these aren't real citizens, they're not real taxpayers, that they're somehow ginned up by the HMOs and insurance companies and special interests. And I just think that they ignore this real, Midwest-based rebellion at their own peril. The political price will be very high if they don't realize that the people are really here and really angry.
Do you think they actually do realize it, or do you think that their claims that it's astroturf and fake are sincere rather than opportunistic?
I think that it was their early cynicism. I believe it when they said it in the beginning. But when you have 2.2 or 2.4 or maybe even more people at the mall, taxpayers at the mall, it's hard to say, well, this was all manufactured.
If that's manufactured, they're in big trouble anyway.
It continues to amaze me that the people who revere the civil rights marches and revere the anti-war protesters, they were the ones shouting the sentences. Now, when the regular people, when the common people, when the working people want to rebel, want to protest, it's somehow delegitimized. It's not real. As if they have the corner on sincerity. It's a liberal elitism at its absolute worst.
Well, it's awfully self-serving, and I think they're in the process of learning otherwise. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us here.
Great to be with you.
Thank you.